Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another amazing episode of the best darn show on the internet, the Oversharing Show. What's going on,
And
everybody?
everywhere, like you said last time.
Yeah, everywhere, the universe, all the realms. They know, they get it. Listen, we're really popular in other realms. I just can't talk about it because then they'll take us off YouTube. So, but it's cool. We're popular here too. We have some amazing fans. So it's really cool.
Indeed.
Shout out to Joe. By the way, we got another donation. I forgot to tell you. Thank you, Joe, very much
Oh,
because it
thank
was
you, Joe.
very synchronistic because
The
I think
number of it was
I pay
synchronistic.
I pay like I no, because today the money also came out for more laws, more problems. I pay like $13 for the WordPress website for like the hosting and everything a year. So but it
Nice.
came out right when he paid, so it's like it was perfect. Amazing.
Okay.
Good stuff. Yeah. So shout out to him. I have today's quote. Of course, we're going to be continuing our series on the Tao today.
Indeed.
And today's quote is Yoda. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Yoda, or maybe we should say it backwards because I like how he spoke backwards because it's kind of like he was displaying the apophatic method just in his speech
Okay, really? Say that. How is he doing it apophatically?
because he was doing it in the reverse. So he was just looking at it from a different way. So the way he speaks, it kind of is like a shock to your brain. It opens it up and makes you think a little more,
Yes, it does.
and so it's similar to the process of negation where you look at things in the reverse or backwards or what they're not.
Yeah. So can you read it to me again? Sorry.
Yeah,
So I can
sure.
hear what you meant by the apophatic thing.
Well, that's what I was saying. It's funny because this quote isn't really like that, but usually
It's what I was thinking.
that's
That's
why
why
I
I
was
was
saying we should
confused.
read it backwards, maybe because
Oh,
Yoda, yeah,
sorry. I didn't hear everything you said.
that's all right.
That happens
I don't
sometimes.
mind explaining my joke for the audience. Yeah, sometimes I'm kind of I was more used to be a Star Wars nerd. I'm not really into it now, but I still like the older ones. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
Cody and I recently rewatched them. I hadn't seen them in a very long time, and I didn't remember almost any of them. So, any of it. So,
yeah, I was thinking about rewatching those again. Might be a good idea.
yeah, it was kind of
The
cool.
woman.
Yeah. So, I have a card from the I Ching deck, and it is number 36, Darkening of the Light, Earth above and fire below. Oopsie.
Oh
Looks
yeah,
like
I have you pinned.
that matches my mandala back there. My mandala effect.
Oh yeah, it's the same color. Mandala effect. How dare you? Berenstain Bears.
No, they were Berenstain. I mean Stein, not Stain. Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, it looks to me like leaves or things of corn or something poking up out of the ground or something. Number 36, Darkening of the Light, says, when the light goes down, it may be wise to become invisible. Ooh. Imagine fresh darkness, the period just after sunset or after a fire has gone out. There is still much activity left over from the light of day, and movements in the outer world are at their most dangerous. Even the smallest sound, the faintest glow of light, can attract unwanted attention now. When the darkness of stupidity reigns in human affairs, it is best to keep your brilliance, quote, hidden under a bushel basket. I That reminds me of a quote in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, and a little song like, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
This little light of mine.
That's when we were kids when we used to sing that.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry. Let your thoughts and efforts be quiet, self-contained, and protected as much as possible from harmful influences. Don't let yourself be swept along on the current of conventional wisdom when too many dangerous uncertainties exist. Try not to become too depressed or anxious. This period too shall pass. Just endure it for now and preserve your self-confidence while remaining cooperative and flexible. The time to assert yourself will come. Avoid looking too far ahead if you have not yet achieved your goals. That will only stimulate feelings of regret or longing, eating away your inner strength. Now is the time to be cautious and reserved. Control yourself. Do not needlessly stimulate forces of opposition. During dark, unsettled periods, it is best to step gingerly around the sleeping dogs. Well, that reminded me of the period we went through in the craziness of 2020, right?
Yeah, right.
It was like a dark time, metaphorically speaking. And some of us had to kind of hide our light a little bit, because if we shone too much, it was bringing unwanted attention to ourselves. Even still, I did not put anything over my lovely smile. And I'm here to tell about it.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. It's been almost 4 years,
It's
which is like
insane.
a graduation, like
Dude, that's crazy.
like a school.
Dude, I was thinking about how it's been almost pretty much been 5 years, 4 years, sorry. And I was like, wow, I can't believe it. Time just flew by. But
And it hasn't calmed down out in the mainstream. It's like crazier than ever. And it's funny because when you don't pay attention to it at all, and then you peek your head in and you see like all this craziness going on, you're just like,
yes,
whoa, because when you watch it on a daily basis, or if you're aware of it on a daily basis, they slowly slide there. Or, well, I'll just say it this way: the Overton window slowly gets slid
slidden.
over, slidden like a sleigh, like Santa's sled. It slowly moves, but when you're constantly paying attention to it or aware of it, you don't notice it. But when you don't, and then you peek in, you're like, aliens in Miami? What the hell? Like, come on, guys. Like, tunnels in Brooklyn, it's like, whoa. And I'm already really aware of how the quote unquote media allegedly fabricates things out of nothing. So it's just interesting to me to see this circus. But yeah, I think it's great that we have our oversharing fans and we're focused on the Dow. But it is interesting to look at it, and it does make for some good comedy. But man, I can just imagine people must be going crazy right now.
Oh yeah. I really tried
Babes, Martin.
to I really tried to shelter myself from the nonsense, but every once in a while you're going to hear something. You
It's
just
interesting though to look into it. I mean, because I get it, but sometimes you just want to be totally unplugged. But I think it's also interesting to remember this stuff, to kind of just catalog it. So, you know, for future generations or something, to just be like, look at this stuff that we lived through. Oh, just trying to pack my pipe and it fell apart. Anyway, that must mean it's time to move on to the Dow.
which pipe is that? May I see it?
I have a wooden one.
Oh, the little wooden pipe.
Yeah, I have the other one downstairs.
Okay.
I have one in each floor just in case.
Just in
You
case.
never know. That's right. Like
Oh,
a shirt that I got from my brother when I was younger. It said his name is Justin, and it said Justin Hale. But if you say it fast, it's like just inhale. It's like a weed shirt.
oh, good call. I thought it
Yeah,
was going to be like just in time or something.
yeah. Well, that's the other thing. He was basically born in the hallway, and like the nurse and my dad gave, like basically delivered him.
In in your house right there?
No, no, in the hospital, but it
Oh,
was
okay.
in the hallway
Oh my
when the
gosh.
doctor got there. Yeah, so we used to say just in time.
Oh, his name was perfect.
Yeah, my parents are smart.
Did they pick it because he was just in time, or did they pick it before and they knew what they were going to name him?
I would have to ask them honestly. Could it be a little bit of both? You know, they're pretty crazy. John and Diane, the youngins.
It's
Yeah.
not Jack and Diane. Just kidding. And I don't like that song. It's so
I play
annoying.
that song every time they're at it. If I'm at an event and they're there, I'll play that song for them, like at dinner.
Why is Jack a nickname for John? Right? Isn't Jack a
Yeah.
nickname for John? Makes no sense to me.
It's English. It doesn't really make sense. It's like because I think a jack is not also a name, but it's like, you know, like think of a jack in a deck of cards. A
Okay.
jack is
A
like a
Joker.
dude, like a dude or a joker, like a jack, you know. So I don't think that's kind of how it started out. It was more of a slang thing, and then that's why John, they just started maybe calling him Jack. Jack and Jake.
Yeah, but I don't think Jake's the same, right? Jake's a nickname for
Yeah.
Jacob, which that in itself, that whole name is also like I don't understand how names like Jacques in French and I don't know, are they the same? I think they're all different.
Jacques. Yeah,
Like
probably.
they're not derived from the same name or something like that.
I don't think
Why
so.
is that the one I'm thinking of?
I think so.
Because like there's a name. I'm going off topic here a little second, but there's a name I have to remember. Okay, so Diego. Yes, that's the name. James
Is Diego.
is the same as Diego,
Diego.
San Diego,
Diego.
Santiago, Iago. All those are variations of the same name, James, which to me is like bizarre how those are all the same. And I think James is, never mind. I don't know if it's Jacques or it's, I don't know. Anyway, I'm confused. Oh, yes, because it's Jacob, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's like
James
a
and Jacob are the same name, right? I don't know. I forgot. I remember researching it a while back and thinking it was just bizarre. And so I've forgotten now what it is.
that's right.
In
Well,
Polish, Jack is Jacek.
ah.
MS says, yeah.
Oh, and then it's kind of like JC almost. Jase. Ciao, bello.
Oh,
What's up?
yeah. Jacek.
Tony Coriola says Media Bear did a great COVID parody of that Jack and Diane song. Yeah, that sounds familiar. That guy's crazy.
Oh, I don't know who he is.
He was the guy that would wear the mask, but it was like a fit, like a clown mask with a mask over it, and he was like had a
Oh,
big white, yeah, a
okay.
big.
I vaguely remember seeing that.
It's pretty funny. All right,
Um,
what's up,
anyway,
chat?
sorry we went
What's
off
up,
topic for a
Joe?
second, but yeah, we're
Thanks
just
for the compliment.
peeps showing up and chilling, so we haven't quite gotten into the Dow yet. B had to light his pipe.
That's right. Thank you for the compliment, Joe.
Where's your wizard hat?
It's in my car. You know, I have to have it in my sled. You know, I bust it out on certain occasions. I wore it in the hospital when we went to go visit Elizabeth's great aunt. She was in hospice, and I wore my cloak and my wizard hat. It was Christmas Eve. It was great. Everybody's looking at us. And there was a bunch of maybe South American, maybe Mexicans, not exactly sure, sitting down like in the hall, and they were pointing. They're like, yeah, "It was great. Let's see." All right, I'll stop. Cardinal. Okay.
Okay, Joe has to go to dinner. All right, buddy. Take care.
Enjoy.
Chat soon.
I just had some cheese and crackers and a little bit of wine. Everybody, I'm warning you. So we're ready to get into the Dow. I just got out of the woods and I'm so excited. It's a great day so far.
Sounds great.
All right, here we go. We're going to be talking about verse 27, which is cool to me because my birthday is July 2nd, which is 7-2. So we got the number lineup going on. And everybody that follows us, they know how we get about numbers.
Look at that. A good traveler. Wow. You were just talking about, you went out there and had a great day and took a hike and
oh yeah. Yeah, I love this verse. All right, here we go. And Stephen Mitchell, 1988 version. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent upon arriving. A good artist lets his intuition lead him wherever it wants. A good scientist has freed himself to concepts and keeps his mind open to what is. Thus, the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. Oh my God. How powerful is that, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't wait to break this down.
Dwight Goddard. He calls this the function of skill. Good walkers leave no tracks. Good speakers make no errors. Good counters need no abacus. Good wardens have no need for bolts and locks, for no one can get by them. Good binders can dispense with rope and cord, yet none can unloose their hold. Therefore, the wise man, trusting in goodness, always saves men, for there is no outcast to him. Trusting in goodness, he saves all things, for there is nothing valueless to him. This is recognizing concealed values. Therefore, the good man is the instructor of the evil man, and the evil man is the good man's wealth. He who does not esteem his instructors or value his wealth, though he be otherwise intelligent, becomes confused. Herein lies the significance of spirituality.
Powerful. All right. Stan Rosenthal from 1984, entitled Following the Tao. The sage follows the natural way, doing what is required of him. Like an experienced tracker, he leaves no tracks. Like a good speaker, his speech is fluent. He makes no error, so needs no tally. Like a good door which needs no lock, he is open when it is required of him, and closed at other times. Like a good binding, he is secure, without the need of borders. Knowing that virtue may grow from example, this is the way in which the sage teaches, abandoning no one who stops to listen. Thus, from experience of the sage, all might learn and so might gain. There is mutual respect twixt teacher, twixt teacher and pupil. For without respect, there would be confusion.
Mm.
Twixt,
And yeah, twixt. I usually see betwixt, right? I've seen betwixt, not twixt, but yeah, that's cool. That's a cool word.
I said tweeter too, though. So.
Yeah. Aleister Crowley entitles a skill in the method. The experienced traveler concealeth his tracks. The clever speaker giveth no chance to the critic. The skilled mathematician useth no abacus. The ingenious safesmith baffleth the burglar without the use of bolts, and the cunning binder without ropes and knots. So also the sage, skilled in I will do that again. So also the sage, skilled in man emancipation craft, useth all men. Understanding the value of everything, he rejecteth nothing. This is called the occult regimen. The adept is then master to the zealator, and the zealator assisteth and honoreth the adept. Yet unless these relations were manifest, even the most intelligent observer might be perplexed as to which was which. This is called the crown of mystery. He's so mysterious, you know, the occult regimen, the crown of mystery.
Yeah. I can't wait to dive into that one. That one's going to be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. Checking on the chat right quick, and then we could dive in. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Brandon. What's up, Dissonant Jones? Amber, how you doing? All right. What's up, Kirk? That's Dissonant Jones, right, Kirk?
Yeah.
Sorry, YouTube. We just outed you. We just doxed him. This is real name. All right. So we're going to break these down, and I'm going to learn how to share. Here we go. We're under Sharon. Over sharing our screen. All right. So I'm gonna read the first part here. Think we should read the first two parts of each one, or how do you think?
Let's see. Maybe how do you think they flow? Do you think the last two go together? I think the last two go together.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was just noticing that myself. Okay, cool. I'll read the first part. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent upon arriving. A good artist lets his intuition lead him wherever it wants. A good scientist has freed himself of concepts and keeps his mind open to what is. And I think it's cool that it's synchronistic to what we talked about in the beginning of the show with 2020, because I feel like a lot of us realize that what we were told is quote unquote science in the mainstream is just like not free of concepts. They have their own fixed concepts and they're very rigid, and you have to get within those. And if not, you're laughed at or kicked out or whatever. And so,
Like a religion.
just like a
A
religion.
cult, dare I say?
Yeah. And I think with that, knowing that we have that inner knowing, we could apply that to the same kind of concepts. Like a good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent upon arriving. A good artist lets his intuition lead him wherever it wants. So it's really about following your intuition, letting spirit guide you, kind of going with the flow type of stuff that they're introducing here in the first part of this verse.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm,
Well, I will read the Dwight Goddard.
bring it up here for our lovely audience. Okay, go ahead.
All right, the function of skill. Good walkers leave no tracks. Good speakers make no errors. Good counters need no abacus. Good wardens have no need for bolts and locks, for no one can get by them. Good binders can dispense with rope and cord, yet none can unloose their hold. So I'm just trying to compare it to the Stephen Mitchell. And Stephen Mitchell's very like, he breaks stuff down and he doesn't have to use that many words. So I don't know what the original says, right? But it looks like Dwight is using a lot more examples. Stephen Mitchell just says the good traveler has no fixed plans and not intent upon arriving. To me, I think of it makes me think of MBTI because of course I've been kind of into some of that stuff. But like there are people who are all about the journey, the experience, the present moment and experiencing that. And then there are people who, yes, they can do that, but the focus is like the outcome of it. Like, what is the outcome? And makes me think of, because I was talking to Joe about this per usual. This was, some time ago, but I was using this example of how one time Cody and I were in Sedona and we were taking a hike, and it was kind of, it wasn't one that, neither of us had ever done that hike before, obviously, but
Must be nice. I love Sedona. Go.
But it was not really a usual, maybe a hike, because we didn't really see that many people on that hike. I didn't know how long it was. And I'm the type of person that it's like I need kind of a plan. I kind of need to know, like, okay, how long is it? How, Brandon.
I know.
I always
I'm
ask
like,
you,
let's just go in the woods. You're like, how
how
long?
long is
We're just gonna
this?
walk till we
What
stop.
are we doing? Like, how long is it going to take?
We're
Is it
just walking
hard?
till we
Is it?
stop. How long is it? It's right there on the map. Oh, I hear you. I like to be a little prepared and at least have a map or know where I am as well. It's important to do that when you're in the woods, especially in the desert.
Yeah.
So.
But this one didn't, like, there wasn't like an actual map or anything. And usually it's like you can easily find your way, and you know what I mean? You're like,
Were
okay, the
you at Area
trail's there.
51? Were you guys at Area 51? Is that what
No.
you're trying to say?
So we're on this trail and I can't, like, we get a good, 45 minutes, hour in, and I'm just like, now I'm like, okay, how long was this supposed to last? I don't know. Like, are we even on the right track? Are we on the right trail? Like, where are we going? And he's trying to calm me down, like, look, it's okay, rest, relax. It's a beautiful day, and I'm just like, well, we don't know when the sun's going down. It's gonna be, I don't want to be out here like lost. He's like, just enjoy it. Just, it's the trail is
Yeah.
there. We'll find our way.
Shout out to Cody.
We're on the way. We're there. We're almost there, and I was just like, so I kept trying to look on GPS on my phone, but I sometimes didn't have a signal. And so it was just like, so, you know, this reminded me of that. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent upon arriving. And it's just a reminder to me that it's okay to be spontaneous too sometimes. So anyway, it made me think of that. Anyway, good walkers leave no tracks, good speakers make no errors. And I don't remember where I was going with that. So we'll just
That's right. I could say there's a little bit of paradox here at the end. You're right, though. I think that is important to, especially when you're in nature. It's a good like example of trusting the plan, because why would spirit or whatever, God or the creator, put you in this situation if it was going to be something bad for you? Um, Although, challenges could arise, but if, like we talked about in the episode with fear, right? There's nothing to fear. There's not a coyote bear coming to get you or whatever, right? Or a snake. Yeah, so that's cool though. I'm glad that he did that. He's embodying the Tao and he didn't even know it.
mm-hmm.
Look at that.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say though about the paradox here at the end of the first part, it was like good binders can dispense with rope and cord. It's like, well, if somebody's a binder, that means they tie people up. Well, if they don't need a rope and cord, what's that all about? There's a little bit
I
of
like
paradox.
that. I like
Yeah.
that. Good point. I meant to touch on that. Um it's metaphorical, right? Could it be?
Could it be? Good wardens need no locks and bolts. You think of
Right.
a warden runs a jail. It's like, wait, they don't need a lock. It's like, yes,
Well, then
because go ahead, go
go
ahead.
ahead. You go.
I was going to say mentally, he could have the respect of the people that are there in the
Exactly.
prison or whatever, or it's a proper order of things. So people wouldn't even think about trying to escape. They're actually there to serve their penance willingly. And it's not like a master slave dichotomy. It's more like a
Right.
master with another under other masters.
I like that. That's a good point.
Thank you. I'm on fire today. This
Yeah.
is great. I should
Good
go hiking every
speakers
day
make
before
no
I podcast.
errors.
Sorry.
Huh?
I said I should go hiking every time before I podcast.
Yeah. Good speakers make no errors. That's like letting the divine live through you, because when you're allowing the Holy Spirit to live through you, it speaks through you. So therefore you make no errors because you're just speaking what you're meant to speak.
Yeah, and you can even add to that and say the errors that you might think you make, like when I said twixt your tweeter, it even though it could be considered an error, it's still not an error because everything technically is perfect. So it was just funny and it made us laugh. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
even though I messed up the word, it
it
was
was
not an
in it was meant to bring
meant
a
to be,
little bit
because
of levity.
like a good speaker, like they say, a good master or the sage, just kind of goes with the flow. So if they make a mistake, they play it off, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, they acknowledge it and make people let people laugh.
Absolutely.
And yeah,
And
because
that's what we've done with the show too, right? Because we're not trying to, like, wasn't I didn't make this show with Brandon to prove anything to anybody about me, about how I am or who I am or what, my level of ability for public speaking or whatever. We're here and we're chatting and we're having a good time.
we're good speakers because of that.
Yeah, and we've gotten better.
We
So
speak good, like Archaic says. It's good. Elizabeth does that. She'll do a Archaic's impersonation. She's like, "It's good." It's so
That's
funny.
funny. I haven't heard his stuff in a while. My
Yeah,
friend
I
sent
haven't
a
really.
link to a recent one. I queued it up, but I haven't listened yet.
Yeah, I go on and off with him with all kinds of media these days.
Yeah,
I've
me too.
been going back and forth with like audiobooks or reading this book. I've been listening to some of the later Dune series novels
Oh,
again.
okay.
It's so crazy. Just get more out of it every time. It's like the Bhagavad. I was actually listening to Ram Dass earlier today, so
I was too.
yeah.
I
Oh,
love him.
such great
He
quotes he
just he just makes me he just makes me laugh, and I just feel comforted when I hear him talk.
had. Yeah, cool to meet that dude.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I'll go on to the next. I think we're ready to go on to the first
And
part. Go
and
ahead.
as the usual, Stan Rosenthal.
Yep. Stan Rosenthal from 1984, entitled Following the Tao. The sage follows the natural way, doing what is required of him. Like an experienced tracker, he leaves no tracks. Like a good speaker, his speech is fluent. Oh, I like this difference here. Now, see,
See?
his speech is fluent, and that kind of falls into what we were both saying, fluent as in getting through to people, like easily understood. You know, he
Yeah.
can connect with the people.
And Dwight says good speakers make no errors, but Stan Rosenthal kind of expands upon that.
Yeah. Oh, and then he goes on to say he makes no errors, so needs no tally.
Mm.
So basically, it really means you don't have to keep track of all the errors that you make because you're really not making any errors. They're just learning experiences. So you don't have to keep
Mm.
stock of it to go back
Mm.
into your past and be like, oh, look at when I fucked up all these other times, because
Good
that's what
call.
the future, right? If you're worried about how you did in the past, instead,
Mm.
you take those times when it didn't go so well and plan a different way ahead. So when that same situation arises, you can conquer it with confidence, you know? All
Yeah.
right. Like a good, I feel like I'm channeling over here like Bashar. Like a good door which needs no lock. Again, it goes back to the warden thing with the doors and locks.
Yeah.
It's like the same kind of thing. Oh, I just found a stick in my hair because I was in the woods. That's hilarious. I am a wizard. Uh he is
Brandolph.
yeah, what's that?
Brandolph.
Brandolph. Yeah, I'll show it when we come back to us. It's a little stick. He is open when it is required of him and closed at other times. So it's like a flow, opening and closing, but it's really about going with the flow of nature, right?
And
You're
it's
into
personifying him too, because in the Dwight Goddard, he's just talking about a warden, but in this one, it's like he's the door, or he's the room, right?
yeah, exactly. Like a good binding, he is secure without the need of borders. So basically, it's telling me there that you're just secure in your kind of like we were talking about. I think it was last episode of the Tao when it was we were talking about the travelers and how wherever they go, they stay true to themselves. Kind of reminds me of that where you don't have to worry about borders. You feel secure no matter where you are.
Mm,
I
yeah,
will show
that's
you. Look at
true.
this. Oh, you can see it. Look at that was in my hair. It's a Y. All right, Zaralath. What's that mean? Is that like a rune? Look at that. That's a symbol that was in my hair from the
Little
woods.
twig.
Boop. Yep.
Loop.
In the winter, you don't got to worry about bugs, which I like too. All
That's
right,
nice.
bring us back. Yeah, I like this. It's parallels the other ones, but also gives more.
Yeah, so it appears that the Chinese did have those examples, because why would, you know, Dwight Goddard and Stan Rosenthal talk about all the examples? Stephen Mitchell just uses like one, and then he adds a different one. And he kind of generalizes and uses maybe his own metaphor. Um,
Yeah, and he tries to modernize it a little by saying scientist.
yeah.
I like that. 1988. It's the future.
88 miles per hour. Just
Yep.
kidding.
Back to the future. There you go.
Yep. All right. So there was something else I was going to say, but maybe it'll come back to me. Aleister Crowley, skill in the method. The experienced traveler concealeth his tracks. The clever speaker giveth no chance. to the critic. Oh, I like that. The skilled mathematician, I'm just going to say, uses no abacus. The ingenious safesmith baffles the burglar without the use of bolts, and the cunning binder without ropes and knots. So Aleister's basically saying that, as compared to Stephen Mitchell, a good traveler has no fixed plans. He says the experienced traveler conceals his tracks. He conceals them. Oh, sorry. Dwight Goddard says leaves no tracks. Aleister says conceals his tracks. So I like, it's kind of like a little different approach to a little different interpretation. The
Yeah,
clever
and Stephen
speaker,
Mitchell says has no fixed plan. So it's like the coming and the going. You're getting both of them here, right? So the concealeth his tracks is like the going, and then the no fixed plans is like the coming. Does that make sense? You
yeah,
see
no,
both sides of it.
yeah, I like that. The coming and the going.
I really like this. This is a good one. And then the clever speaker giveth no chance to the critic.
I love that.
It reminds me of a stand-up comedian with like somebody's trying to heckle him or whatever.
Yeah.
Or if you're just making a speech or a public, even this show, right? If we had somebody in the chat
Right.
that was trying to like talk shit, we just kick them out. We don't give them a chance, like.
Yeah. Oh, well, and the other things too is I think we don't give them a chance because we're open to so many ideas and so many ways of seeing things. So they can't pin us on something and like, oh,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
you're XYZ. If I say yes and no to an answer, to a question, I can see multiple sides of that, right? So I'm not biased. Um, I'm not saying I'm perfect and correct in everything I see because I'm open to the possibility that I don't know everything. So in that way, I think we leave no chance to the critic,
yeah. That's
which is
great
why I think we very rarely see hardly anything
because we're
like
not
that.
making claims, also, right?
Exactly.
Amazing. It's 444 here, anyway.
Yeah, nice.
All right.
244 here.
Back to yeah. I also like the yeah. So every line of this is just so great. So and then the skilled mathematician uses no abacus. So it's like if you're really good at math, you could just do it right in your head, right? You're trusting your instincts. The ingenious safesmith baffleth the burglar without the
Without
use of
these.
bolts. All the
Mm-hmm.
bees. Yeah, so it's all about the paradox, right? And the
Amberson says like Home Alone.
yeah.
Totally. Totally.
Oh, it's 111 and we have 11 people in here.
Nice.
Yeah, people. Yeah, happy 111, everybody.
Yeah. January 11th.
Oh,
And
we're
then
still
the
sharing.
cunning binder without ropes and knots. Kind of, that was like Dwight said. The good binders can dispense with rope and cord, yet none can unloose their hold. Very similar rendering, very similar interpretation there.
Yeah. All right, I'll bring it bring it back when we get to the second part of this verse. All right, here we go. Stephen Mitchell, 1980, second part of verse 27. Thus the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. That reminds me of like the concept of Jesus with the sinners and saints.
Yeah.
He is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything.
Mm-hmm.
This is called embodying the light.
I really love that little snippet of the verse.
Yeah, because it's kind of like no matter what happens to you, you don't let your internal core shake. You don't get into despair or whatever. You just deal with it because you realize it's like a challenge or it's
Yes.
you're open to whatever the universe brings, right? Like
Right.
the a tree falls down,
The
it's
plan.
like, oh, I guess we're cutting the tree up now. Like you're
Trust
not
the
like, oh, the
plan.
tree fell. Uh,
Yeah. Trust the plan.
yeah, trust the plan.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, maybe an immature me would have in the past gotten upset for something like, you know, spilling water or, doing something, in the house or whatever, and then something breaks or something spills or something falls over, and you're like, XYZ, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm
Motherfucker.
just like, okay, I guess I have to go get some paper towels and clean up this mess, and, you know, it is what it is.
Guess we're washing the floor now.
Yeah, it's a good time to get to wipe the floor down.
Yeah, I love it. All right. And then I love that this is called embodying the light. So like it's like, when you do this, when you live in that way just in rhythm with everything that happens and take things as they come, that's called embodying the light. So you're just like light in the energy that we are allegedly
Mm.
made of. Ooh, there's a dog running around outside. What up, dog? I'm so easily distracted. Okay. What is a good man? This is one of my favorite like parts of
Squirrel.
the whole Tao. Yeah, squirrel. This is one of my favorite parts of the whole Tao. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher?
I remember.
What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. It's
Okay. Please
really
expound upon that for me.
all
Because
right. So go ahead.
just give me 1 second, because I'm just going
Yeah.
to say I'm always, looking at things from kind of a perspective of like devil's advocate sometimes, right? So when he says, what is a bad man but a good man's job? I'm just thinking, I mean, it's not my job to fix somebody, you know what I mean? They have to save themselves.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But so then with that in mind, please expand.
Yes, I think that's great that you brought up that distinction because what I was going to say is way better prefaced by what you said, and just being aware of that because you're right. We can't change anybody, we can't fix people. But I think it really, if you look at it, you can also see like just your example as a quote unquote good man, your example in the community or in front of somebody or whoever you're with, it's going to help them because they're going to see it's possible that there's another way if they choose to take that way. But I think also, if you look at it apophatically, negatively, instead of thinking that, a bad man is your job, you could, if say you have an interaction as a good man, you have an interaction with a bad man, you could feel like a victim, right? But instead of that, you can think to yourself, this is my job to accept this person as who they are at their level and just have a pleasant exchange with them. So if they're a dick to you somewhere, you could just be like, cool, man, whatever. You're like, man, like that's your opinion, man. You don't have to
The
be,
dude.
yeah, you could just act like the dude or whatever and deflect some of that negative stuff. And it's funny because I feel like negative actions it's like when somebody commits a negative action, it could take on a life of its own. Like, say you push somebody in the store and then they get pissed off and they're mean to the cashier, and then the cashier goes home and is like mean to beats their kids, and then their kids grow up to like become serial killers. Like you never know. It's like the butterfly effect, right? Like so I feel like if somebody has some of this, a bad man or woman has some of this negative vibrations they're trying to put on you and you just absorb them and use that energy in a positive way and laugh or whatever, I feel like you also take that out of the realm too, or like balance it out. So there's that aspect of it as well, where it's just like an internal thing, like, oh, this man is my job. While you're around that person who you are thinking of as a bad man, you don't have to feel sorry for them or whatever. You could just be like, all right, this is a task. I must endure this person's presence for however long until this interaction is over, instead of being
Okay.
like, get stuck with Joe. His feet stink. Oh, I should have said Joe. Sorry. I was just, why do I got to get stuck with Freddie? He's a jerk. We know too many
Good
Joes.
thing we don't have any friends named Freddie.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck
Just
Freddie.
kidding.
That guy.
Just kidding.
Pretty cool.
Um, it reminds me of it's kind of synced because this morning I had a thought that I posted in a group about how we can, and we've talked about this many times on the show, but how we can, but I have to remind myself too, because it's a good reminder, because
Yep.
we forget, but that, we can look at a situation, even if it's not true, but we can look at a situation as if we came into this lifetime knowing the people who would be around us, and we made these agreements with them that we would be these people to them and for them. And so I can I can take something that someone says to me and be like, oh, you're just trying to tell me what to do. Stop trying to tell me how to live my life, and get angry and upset because they're trying to tell me what to do. Or I can just say, I made a contract with this person before I came into the realm, and we agreed that they would be a challenge. They would challenge me to create my boundaries, to create these boundaries that show me, or that help me unconditionally love myself for who I am without needing to be upset about someone trying to tell me what to do or how to live my life. Because if I already am content in the way I'm living and everything is good, then I wouldn't be experiencing this opposition. So clearly I need to be reminded, and I need to be secure in my faith, knowing that, I am doing the best that I can, the best that I am, and I can love myself for that. And I don't need other people's approval. Sorry, I kind of went like
No, it was great.
on a rant, but like it's that just reminded me of that. And it was a sync.
No, it's totally true. It's like something I said last night. It's like my grandmom always used to say, if you really got to, you can smack a bitch, but never punch her. It's just some comedy I was working on. I would never smack a bitch. Well, if it was somebody trying to rob me, that's all I meant. Anyway, back to hey, everyone's that's how I bring the comedy, everybody. How you doing? No, I think what you said is great. Honestly, we have to remind ourselves that's again the important thing. Sometimes we forget. We learn these things and we forget, and then we get hard on ourselves because we forgot. And it's all part of the journey.
Oh, the last thing I meant to say and I forgot is that the reason that I say that was because it allows you to have compassion over someone when you know that that's just their role. That's just, they're fulfilling the agreement, the role that they came to fulfill in this lifetime for you, and maybe they won't recognize it. They won't remember, but you can use that as a way to have compassion over them and as a way to reinforce your boundaries and reinforce that self-love that you have for yourself, that you are just where you are, just where you need to be, and you don't need approval of anyone.
Yep, 100%. Shout out to the chat. Thank you, Cody says, nice church warden. Thank you. This is my upstairs pipe, as I was explaining to Sharon earlier.
It's a church warden? That's what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've had this one for a while. Got it a couple of years ago, I think. Let's see. Zerlast says, good speakers make no errors, is just a wizard arrives when he is meant to. Yeah, there you go. It's a great Lord of the Rings reference. All right. Speaking of the Tao, I had a dance party last night. It was great.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was just playing music and dancing. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, okay.
Allegedly might have taken a microdose of mushrooms.
Oh, microdose. Nice.
Yeah. We had these chocolates allegedly, so just a little piece, and it was just like a nice body high. And
What do you think? Like a 500 milligrams, maybe? Or a
um
gram?
honestly, I think it was like a third of a normal dose. So probably, yeah, maybe like a gram.
A gram then. Okay.
Don't quote me, everybody. Look it up. Remember, this isn't advice. All right. So you want to read the Dwight Goddard?
Yes, I can read Dwight Goddard. So the second part of this verse says, therefore the wise man, trusting in goodness, always saves men, for there's no outcast to him. Trusting in goodness, he saves all things, for there is nothing valueless to him. This is recognizing concealed values. Therefore, the good man is the instructor of the evil man, and the evil man is the good man's wealth. He who does not esteem his instructors or value his wealth, though he be otherwise intelligent, becomes confused. Herein lies the significance of spirituality. I probably should have talked about that first part separately, but so he talks about saving men, right? I like how Stephen Mitchell says he is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. But Dwight Goddard is using a different word, I guess, saving, like saving all things, and saving men.
Yeah, that's really interesting. He's like expounding upon just the first part. Trusting in goodness, he saves all things. For there is nothing valueless to him. This is recognizing concealed values. I like that because it's the same thing with people, but then he just puts it onto things as well. It's like there's always a use, or there's always some kind of teaching you could take out of a situation or a person or a thing.
Yeah.
It's like there's no mistake to it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was also going to say, like, I like that he says there is no outcast to him. There are, times and situations where people, it happens a lot in like the church and like those kind of situations where they will make someone out to be like an outcast, or when it's like a shunning, or like don't speak to them, or they're so crazy, or
Excommunication.
yes, they're so off their rocker, don't go near them, they're gonna a bad apple, XYZ, you know what I mean? So it just reminds me of that. And it's like, okay, well, you're doing the opposite of Jesus, because what would Jesus do? He friggin' hung out with sinners and tax collectors, people. So, there were no outcasts to him, he'd probably hang out with atheists. You know what I mean? It's like, why I came across this notion again recently, because I've been listening to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the little audio BBC series that came out back in the day, the original. And I was like, what was Douglas Adams like, the author, right? What like, because I wanted to know, like, where did he come up with all this stuff? Because to me, I really like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because even though it's a work of, I found out later he was an atheist, right? But I really like a total atheist, like like it's just funny. But anyway,
Like extra atheist.
yeah, like he
Yeah,
wanted to
like
tell people, like, by the
yeah.
way, I'm not like those, like, what is it called when you're like, oh, he's like, I'm not agnostic, I'm an atheist, like I really am.
When you die, nothing happens.
Yes, that's that sort of thing, I guess. So,
Good
you
for him.
know, and it's funny because I did not plan on talking about this, but it's funny because he wrote this whole Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy thing, and the main storyline is about searching for the meaning of life, basically, right? And the poor guy apparently never found it, right? Because but at the same time, his thought process behind it was kind of funny, and to me, it's kind of like paradoxical. So whenever I'd watch, like, my favorite version is the most recent one, like I think it was 2005, with the guy who played the Hobbit. What's his freaking name?
Yeah,
And
I know what you're talking about.
Most Def plays his friend for Ford Prefect or whatever his name is. Well, I really liked it because to me it was just completely obvious. Like it was like he was saying all these things about like, and who is this God person anyway? And some of God's mistakes along the way and blah blah blah, right? These are some of the things that are said in that book. But every time I watch it, I just see how obvious it is that it it can't be from nothing. You know what I mean? Like it's so I didn't expect to find that he was an atheist. I mean, maybe I did, but I didn't really because I expected him to be some like philosopher that was like that got it. And so he was writing this humor about like it's obviously there's obviously some intelligence behind this, and it's not just nothingness. It's not all from nothing. So anyway, I can't remember why I was talking about that. Where were we?
Oh, I was gonna say something too.
Go
No, I
ahead,
think it's funny
say.
because despite him, or despite what his beliefs are, it comes out anyway. He's like channeling this story, and then also it's kind of funny because, what was I gonna say? Guardians of the Galaxy atheist. It'll come back to me. But yeah, it's interesting how that occurs. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. A lot of times we ascribe like too much credit to some of these creators that make this stuff. I think what we should maybe look to what they do, or maybe give them praise for or whatever, or acknowledge them for, is just the fact that they went ahead and did it and wrote the story and got it done and put it out there, you know.
I
um
re-
I think that's like half the battle of it, really.
I remembered what I was going to say. So I got on the topic because I was saying Jesus would have probably talked to atheists, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like he probably would have hung out with them. Um, and then I brought up the topic of funny enough, I've been listening to that, and then I wanted to look up um, Douglas Adams, and then he turns out to be an atheist. So, but my point was that when I was reading his, I was just reading through his Wikipedia or whatever entry, and I was kind of almost going back to a mode of like wanting to be judgmental toward him for being an atheist,
Yeah.
even though I've talked about it many times on the show that like, so the fuck, sorry, pardon my French. So the heck what?
Go the fuck what,
So
bitch?
the hell what if he's an atheist? Like
What's up,
what?
Adam?
God is going to strike him down with like, and what? He's just another being like you and me. Like that was his experience this lifetime. He experienced the feeling of not knowing what this life is all about. We all go through periods of life of things like that in our lives. For him, it seemed to have lasted this whole lifetime. Maybe, hopefully, next time around, he figures something out. I don't know. But even if that's not the way it is, I can still have compassion for him because whatever he experienced in this lifetime didn't give him enough peace to know what truly is the meaning of life and the purpose of life if he felt things were meaningless, right? Now, I don't know if that's true either because I didn't read his whole life story. I was just kind of browsing and skimming through his Wikipedia. Maybe he did enjoy life. Maybe he thought things were great, but, a lot of comedians write from, their, shall I say, like tragedies or their, you know, I don't know. You can speak to this better than I can.
No, you're 100% right. Knowing a lot of comedians as I have, they do. Some comedians have a certain tragedy. Like comedy's about having flaws and exaggerating those flaws. That's one part of it. And some people, their flaws are real, man, and they are like look at Robin Williams. Unfortunately committed suicide. So,
Yeah.
but you're right. I mean, is the guy still alive? Because you know, a lot of people at the end they convert quick. They're like,
No, he
yeah.
died.
I wonder what his last thoughts are.
Yeah.
What's up, Adam? Tell Kate and everyone in the family I said, what's up?
Yeah.
Little Big Jackson. How old is he now? Three,
Two and a half, maybe
two,
something like that.
2.5. Yeah, because he was born at the same time as my niece. So August he was 2.
Oh,
Atheists believe all things came from nothing. They also believe they die and go into nothing. Oops. So then they merge with their creator. Haha. Yeah, exactly.
yes. Yeah, that was from
Pete Holmes.
yeah, yeah, thank you, Pete Holmes. That was funny.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so true. It's hilarious how easily it hides in there because, you know, when we come across these ideologies and we're trying to find our way through and discover as we mature and grow up, um, it sounds appealing, like this whole atheist thing. But then once you look at it, you're just like, oh, yeah, that doesn't even,
It's kind of nonsensical. It doesn't really make sense.
yeah. Yeah, Pete Holmes nailed that one. All right, let's get back to the fact of the.
Yeah, sorry I went on a total like
No, it's great. You're oversharing.
sidetrack.
See, it's fine. Just creating content.
Okay,
All
yeah. So I was talking about the wise men trusting goodness. There's no outcast to him. And then so the next part that says, therefore, the good man is the instructor of the evil man. That's as compared to Stephen Mitchell. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher?
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of lines up. But like the next line is interesting. It's different. It says, and the evil man is the good man's wealth.
Yeah, and its wealth is can be created through a job, right? That's
Right.
how you establish it. So he's just looking long term.
Well, and now that you talked about it a little bit, I can think about it in the sense of um, how can I use this opportunity? How can I use this quote, bad man, this evil man? How can I use the way he's acting, the way he's maybe treating me or treating others as an experience that I can learn from? And all that, that's wealth, learning from our experiences, right? Could it be?
Yeah, 100%. The treasures that you accumulate in heaven, right? What they tell you.
Say that again.
The treasures that you accumulate in heaven that
Yeah.
the some of the
Yes.
evangelical Christians will tell you that's where it's the
Yes.
same thing. It's just here.
Yes. We are in heaven. We're either in heaven or in hell.
Could it be?
Welcome, Gigi Abby Lynn.
What's up?
She says he's Glenn Close. You're welcome. I'm lost. You might get it. Is it a joke?
Yeah, I might have missed it though. Glenn Close. I don't know. Might have been something we said before. Just missing it. All
Oh,
right. So,
welcome, Zindra.
oh, what's up, Zindra? Thanks. Yep. Yep. No one listens when you talk to them about those things if they don't want to. We get it.
Yeah.
Where was we?
Okay, so then, well, I was at he who does not esteem his instructors or value his wealth, though he be otherwise intelligent, becomes confused. Herein lies the significance of spirituality. Yes. So, like I was saying, if you don't see, and then like instructors, right? What did Ram Dass say about this? Like, he was a good teacher or something, like to someone who was like mean or hurtful or, harmful to him. He's like, well, he was a good teacher, right? Didn't he say
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that?
yeah. He says that he told this whole story about some guy that just showed up with some woman on his property. He was
Yes.
robbed out at the time. His parents are like loaded, but he was just living in like the back house of one of his dad's mansions or something. And the guy like trashed it and put ketchup in the piano.
Oh my gosh.
And then he just, he realized that it was just like a teaching. That's how we kind of looked at it.
Yeah,
If you look at it that way, then you don't feel like you're a victim.
exactly.
Amazing. It's hard to do, but it's the practice.
Yeah, so there you go. He who does not esteem his instructors or value his wealth, though he be otherwise intelligent, becomes confused. And I like that he says becomes confused, because it's just when you're in that state, you're just confused about life. You're not looking at it in a way that's helpful. And
Yeah, it's not
it
that it's
just,
bad.
yeah, it's not that it's bad or evil. You're just in a confused state. Just like Aaron Abke talks about when he talks about when you're without love in this realm where like the greatest power is love, right? When you're without it, it's like being insane, because it's sane to be lovely and loving to people and compassionate. But when you're not, and you're not acting in that state, you're just in a state of insanity. But that it's okay. You can come back from that. It's not evil or bad, and you're not going to go to a place called hell or anything. I mean, you might for a moment in this lifetime experience a level of hell, but until you get yourself out.
Exactly. Well said. It's the whole motion of the Tao, the balance, the flow. Don't you know? All right. So,
Oh, Gigi was saying Robin Williams. He was playing dual roles as they do in the orders. He's also Glenn, so he didn't die. Interesting. Jester. Hmm.
yeah, it could be possible. I wouldn't
Yeah, I mean, I
put it
don't put
past
it past these
anybody. I mean,
people. I know.
actually, I was thinking something today. I think it was something you sent, Sharon, and it was just showing like robots and then all the faces, and then they would put the faces on the robots, and then they're showing like Joe Biden with the. And I was like, I think maybe the robots took over, but it's not like the slavery isn't the direct like the Matrix slavery. It's just that we have robots running the show, but it's like what we want. It's what the people are asking for, and it's what keeps us, well, not us, but it keeps the society or civilization like going, right? So that would be hilarious if there really was nobody at the top. They're just all robots. I could see
My
that.
goodness. Yeah.
Where do I place a bet on that outcome? Just like a small one. All right, let's bring back the Tao. That would be hilarious. So everyone's like
Oh,
mad at like Bill Gates, and they're all just robots,
I know.
like a AI. That's a Joker, like you were saying,
Yeah, Jester.
Jester.
Um, so yeah, therein lies the significance of spirituality.
And I like that because Stephen Mitchell says that it is the great secret, and this guy says the significance of
Yeah.
spirituality.
So like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy says the meaning of life, the universe, and everything.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, so I'm going to read the second part from Stan Rosenthal here. It's knowing that virtue may grow from example. This is the way in which the sage teaches, abandoning no one who stops to listen. Same kind of stuff with the Jesus hanging out with the sinners and the saints, like everybody like the capybara.
yeah.
Thus, from experience of the sage, all might learn and so might gain. There is mutual
Mm,
respect twixt teacher and pupil. For without respect, there would be confusion. Oh, there comes the confusion word.
wow.
He doesn't end it with anything saying like, this is the secret or whatever. But I do like though how he talks about, because what it makes me think of is, so if you're a good man and someone's busting your balls or giving you a hard time or situation's not going your way and you just hang in there and you're like, oh, this is great. And you look at it as a challenge, you overcome it. Now, your example now and that energy you gain from that is going to help other people that are trying to also do that because they're going to see you doing it and they're like, oh, if he can do it, then maybe I can do it. It's not impossible. I don't have to feel like a victim. This guy's showing me another way just through his actions. And slowly, kind of like how water works down on stone, you kind of work down on people around you, you wear them down eventually.
Yeah. Erode.
You erode them.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
erode you. It's like the tortoise versus the hare, right? The hare wants to tell you space is fake. Like you're gonna cover your face, but the hare or the tortoise, though, the slow, he just slow and steady. And eventually you just wear him down, you know? Amazing. Some good
Oh
recommendations on
God.
this.
Okay, so I like that knowing that virtue may grow from this is the way in which the sage teaches.
Yeah, it goes back to what I said with the
Oh.
example thing, right? Knowing that
Mm-hmm.
virtue may grow from example, abandoning no one who stops to listen. So you listen to all people and you can either use them
Yeah.
either way,
And
you know?
and it's not, and you're not throwing it in their face. You're just oversharing, and then someone comes up to you and asks you. And it's funny because you and me in human design, we're projectors, and we work best when someone asks us to expound upon something or to talk about something. We're we're not supposed to like woke rape people.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we have too much information to be like an overload. You know, it's better
Mm-hmm.
when people ask us because then they can pull it out. Yeah, totally. A little grape.
Yeah. So everything that he said at the very end, from the experience of the sage, all might learn and so might gain. There's mutual respect twixt teacher and pupil. All that was like totally what we were talking about from the other verses.
Yep. Want to read the Crowley one?
Yeah. I was just going to say, it says
Go
about
ahead.
respect, for without respect, there would be confusion. And it's just kind of a sync to me because I was just thinking to myself earlier about, when you heal those wounds of, like, for example, the one I was giving an example someone trying to tell me what to do, and my original way was to just lash out and yell and get angry because you're trying to tell me what to do. But I know that I need to do it in a more respectful way, because I can also look at it like, okay, they're concerned, right? They're telling me something because they're concerned for me. So I shouldn't take it in a bad way. I shouldn't take it personal, right? And therefore I can respond respectfully while also putting up my boundaries, but do so in a respectful way. So anyway, that was kind of a sync for me.
Yeah, because you're not coming at it looking at yourself as a victim. You're just like, oh, you're seeing the energy they're giving you for what it is, right? They're telling you to cover your face, but maybe they're just trying to they want to make sure you're safe and you're not harmed. And you can look at it that way and then it'll hit you that way. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're right.
Yeah.
Like, thank you, brother, but I'll take my chances. We were at the pet store the other day. It's called Wholesome Animal. Shout out to Wholesome Animal in Farmington, Canton, Connecticut. And the guy it was just us in there, Elizabeth, I, and the gentleman who owns it. And he was talking about masks or something. And he was like, I never wore one of those. And I never even took a test. I'm like, what are you talking about? But yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah. All right. There's too many screens. Here
But
we
no
go.
judgment on anyone who did.
Yeah,
We
no, I
all
get it.
had,
If I had to and it was an expedient situation and it's like, you know what, but if I could just not and get away with it, I wasn't. So
yeah. All right. So Aleister Crowley, that second part of verse 27. So also the sage skilled in man emancipation craft useth all men, understanding the value of everything, he rejecteth nothing. This is called the occult regimen. So it's very similar to some of the other verses as well. I like that he's equating the sage with a man who is skilled in man emancipation craft.
mm, I love that use of that word because it's what we talk about all the time, right? mental slavery, and you're just a
Mm,
slave to yourself. So, what is your craft? Man, emancipation. I'm like here to
that's
help
funny.
people free themselves who want to be free.
Wow.
Using that further example, if you were going to go somewhere and try to free slaves, if they don't want to be freed, if they like their life, you can't free them, right?
Yeah.
They got to
Yeah.
be willing to want to leave.
Right. So,
Let's get back to
and
Crowley. That's just great.
yeah, and then he says, uses all men, right? And it reminds me of who said it? Stephen Mitchell or even Dwight Goddard says, yeah, saves men for there is no outcast to him. So he's saying uses all men, but I think it's like kind of like the same as like uses all experiences.
Yeah.
So like, uses all the experiences he has with these people.
And the energy.
Yeah. Understanding the value of everything. He rejects nothing. That's it's kind of like who else said it?
It's
He
freaking based
doesn't
is what
waste
it is.
anything, Stephen Mitchell, huh?
I said it's freaking based is what it is. Yeah, I love the way he says like you were saying too. It's so mysterious and like magical
Mm-hmm.
and like man emancipation. That's I
That's
love.
funny.
It. Yeah, he was quite a poet, if nothing else. I guess you could say a trick.
Yeah. It reminds me of you know how we've talked about some of these words of like we're starting a new quote cult jokingly. Um, remember when we talked about the Panglossians?
Oh yeah,
The ones who saw everything in a positive light. And
yeah,
then this one is like, yeah, the next cult will be the man emancipationists.
yeah, exactly. That's right, man and woman. We don't segregate. We'll emancipate
People
whoever.
emancipationists.
Yes, or man in the old sense. I love how you sent me that thing of explaining the word man. They used to just refer to humans as men, and then there was the
Yeah.
distinction later with woman.
Yeah. Where did I send that to you?
Instagram, maybe,
What was it?
or
I can't even
Telegram,
remember what
probably.
I sent you.
It was talking about the word man and how it used to represent man and women. Like in the
Mm-hmm.
17 or 1800s, they would just say man. That's why everything says man. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't because they were like,
Mankind.
yeah, they weren't like sexist and only including men. It's just the way that word was used. And I mean, women, they're not that important anyway, right? I'm just kidding, everybody. Women are wonderful.
The occult regimen, he says, which I guess, what would you equate that to?
Um, Same thing with like the great mystery kind of, or also regimen as in like routine, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Good call.
So this is the occult routine kind of thing.
Ooh,
You
I
want to follow
like
that
that.
way?
We're the occult routinists.
Yeah,
Just
totally.
kidding. Just kidding. Um, and then the second part or the next part of that verse says the adept is then master to the zealotor, and the zealotor assists and honors the adept. Yet, unless these relations were manifest, even the most intelligent observer might be perplexed as to which was which. This is called the crown of mystery. I've realized I'm reading it from my slides and you hadn't posted it, which is fine.
That's all right. I was actually gonna give a quick shout out to Joe because he said, yeah, I had lost 10 points on an essay in university because I used the word man in the context you were describing. Well,
Oh no,
you couldn't even say, you just
ridiculous.
have to be like, I don't even know what you could say, maybe person kind. Anyway,
Yeah.
lame. Oh, Adam's hanging out. What's up? Adam and Joe are in here. This is like a party now. Oh shit. Oh shit. Can you imagine getting Joe and Adam in the same room? Adam, when are you gonna come back on the show when you have some free time?
Yeah.
I understand you're busy, but dude, just let us know. We'll record whenever.
Yeah. I really think having it, if we have a crowd, of interesting people that have been on our show, like
Yeah, we
Joe,
could have
Nick,
freeform things. We could talk about
Adam.
realm Earth and stuff.
Yeah,
Like Adam
yeah,
can talk about his plans for the future if he wants to.
yeah.
All right. So, let's get back to the
So yeah, that last little snippet of Aleister Crowley's. Um, so an adept is a very skilled, proficient expert, and the zealotor. So when I looked this up, I was just looking in a regular dictionary and I couldn't find it. So I just searched the web for that word, and it is actually in the context of it's used in the context of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Now, I did find a definition on another website saying that it is a person who is zealous, especially in the pursuit of religious or political objectives. So it's kind of like a zealot, spelled Zealot. But because it is spelled the way it is defined in the order or Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. It is defined as a member who has completed the first degree and focuses on the study of Kabbalah and the Tree of Life. So in that sense, the adept is the wise man, right, or the master, and then the zealotor is the guy who just finished his first degree of
I think it
the
might be the
order.
other way around because this is the way I just so hear me out right quick. So I think zealot and then zealotor makes me think not only of Skeletor, but of zealotee. So like you have a zealotee, a person who's the zealot, and then the zealotor, who's the person who's like controlling the zealotness. Does that make sense? Like they're the priest and the adept, usually the adept, I don't know, maybe you're right though. I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, I looked this up online, and that's what they were saying. Like Wikipedia's defining this under the context of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn,
So
which
I
is
was thinking
related
maybe
to
because they were
Aleister
like one
Crowley.
step further, but you're right. Maybe they're just someone who's newer. Let me read the verse again in that context then.
Yeah.
The Zeltor has the honor. Get these. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I was just looking at it reversed, like the roles are reversed. Maybe the adept is then master to the Zelator, and the Zelator assisteth and honoreth the adept. What's the definition of adept
An
or adept?
an adept is the noun is adept. I guess it could be adept too.
Yeah, adept.
Is very skilled. Sorry, the adjective is very skilled, proficient, or expert. The noun is a skilled or proficient person, an expert.
All right.
So the
Yeah, so
adept
then
is
you're
the
right.
expert, and the
Awesome.
zealotor is just kind of like he's not quite the neophyte. He's like just one more degree. He's just finished being a neophyte.
So he gets it a little, he's on the path and he wants to,
He's on the path. Yeah.
I like it. Uh, yeah,
Um,
this Crowley version is really intense. I like it.
yeah. So, and then he says, yet unless these relations were manifest, even the most intelligent observer might be perplexed as to which was which. So, because these two people, even though one is the expert and one is the one on the path learning, because of the way they respect each other and honor each other, and one can still learn from the other despite all that, people might be perplexed and go, well, which one's the expert? I can't tell. And that is the point. That's what he calls the crown of mystery.
I love it. It's like the true master needs no accolades, right?
Mm-hmm. And like
Very
so
true.
many of the other verses we've talked about in the Tao.
Yeah, yeah. I love the repetition. They're like really trying to drill these concepts in from all different angles. All right, I'm gonna read the second part of the stand. Rosenthal. Oh no, wait. That's it. We're done, right? Oh, we can go on to verse 28.
Yeah, that was quick,
Oh,
or
wow.
felt quick to me at least.
Well, we've been going for about an hour and 24 minutes. 25.
Okay.
Yeah, so right on time. All right. Know the male, Stephen Mitchell, verse 28 from 1988. Know the male, yet keep to the female. Receive the world in your arms. If you receive the world, the Tao will never leave you, and you will be like a little child. I think we could probably read the first two parts because it looks like the third part's pretty long on most of them.
Okay. But we read through
Oh,
the
I'm
first,
reading the
we
whole
read through,
thing. Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that's
I
right.
forgot. I forget sometimes too.
Know the white, yet keep to the black. Be a pattern for the world. If you are a pattern for the world, the Tao will be strong inside you, and there will be nothing you can't do. Know the personal, yet keep to the impersonal. Accept the world as it is. If you accept the world, the Tao will be luminous inside you, and you will return to your primal self. The world is formed from the void, like utensils from a block of wood. The master knows the utensils, yet keeps to the block. Thus she can use all things.
Nice. Dwight Goddard, returning to simplicity. He who knows his manhood and understands his womanhood becomes useful like the valleys of earth which bring water. I'm just going to side note here. I think Adam's going to appreciate that manhood, womanhood thing there.
Yeah.
Being like the valleys of earth, eternal vitality, day, will not depart from him. He will come again to the nature of a little child. That's very biblical right there, too. He who knows his innocence and recognizes his sin becomes the world's model. Being a world's model, infinite day will not fail. He will return to the absolute. He who knows the glory of his nature and recognizes also his limitations becomes useful like the world's valleys. Being like the world's valleys, eternal day will not fail him. He will revert to simplicity. Radiating simplicity, he will make of men vessels of usefulness. The wise man then will employ them as officials and chiefs. A great administration of such will harm no one.
Nice. All right. Stan Rosenthal from 1984, retaining integrity. Whilst developing creativity, also cultivate receptivity. Retain the mild like that of a child, which flows like running water. Oh, sorry. Retain the mind like that of a child, which flows like running water. When considering anything, do not lose its opposite. When thinking of the finite, do not forget infinity. Act with honor, but retain humility. By acting according to the way of the Tao, set others an example. By retaining the integrity of the inner and external worlds, true selfhood is maintained, and the inner world made fertile or fertile.
Aleister Crowley entitles this, verse 28, The Return to Simplicity. Balance the male strength with thy female weakness, and thou shalt attract all things, as the ocean absorbeth all rivers. For thou shalt formulate the excellence of the child eternal, simple, and perfect. Knowing the light, remain in the dark, manifest not thy glory, but thine obscurity. Clothed in this child excellence eternal, thou hast attained the return of the first state. Knowing splendor of fame, cling to obloquy and infamy. Then shalt thou remain as in the valley to which flow all waters, the lodestone to fascinate all men. Yea, they shall hail in thee this excellence, eternal, simple, and perfect of the child. The raw material, wrought into form, produces vessels, so the sage king formulates his wholeness in diverse offices, and his law is without violence or constraint. Wow, he's so poetic.
Yeah, I like it. All right, now, as I was saying earlier, let's break down. Actually, before we do that, though, let's take a quick break and look at the chat because there was something in here I wanted to address. Kirk Tissot Jones says, I resonate with the bulk of all these verse renditions except Goddard's evil man being a good man's wealth. His wealth?
As
Well,
well.
his wealth. How dare you? Like I was saying earlier, in the Stephen Mitchell version, he says, "What is a bad man but a good man's job?" So in that way, I think job equates to wealth. Also, though, it could be a wellspring. It doesn't have to do with physical wealth. Like we were saying, it could be spiritual wealth, right? There's all this untapped energy that we're dealing with that we don't understand. People come at us in a negative manner, but there's still energy there that we can use to our benefit if we like, if we look at it in the
A
correct way.
wealth of learning,
A wealth of learning.
of experience.
I'm telling you, nailing it. Can anything actually ever be finite? Wouldn't that not just to be a
Would
limitation? Oh, go ahead. Would that
would
not
that not?
just be a limitation in one's perception of the infinite? Yeah.
Could it be?
Yeah. Depends, I guess, on what context you're talking about,
Yeah.
finite and all that. But yeah, you're right. You get it, man.
I mean, I get it. I can see multiple sides. I could say yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yes and
All
no.
right, so I'm going to read the first two parts of the Stephen Mitchell 1988. Verse 28, know the male, yet keep to the female. Receive the world in your arms. If you receive the world, the Tao will never leave you, and you will be like a child, a little child. I like that because it's, know the male, yet keep to the female, right? And then it's going to be like, know the white, yet keep to the black. Be a pattern for the world. If you're a pattern for the world, the Tao will be strong inside you, and there will be nothing you can't do. So it reminds me of like being prepared, but not being in fear, right? So, like we were talking about in another episode, you might choose to carry a gun, but it doesn't mean that that's your whole life. You're a gunslinger or something. Or you might choose other preparations and you're not always thinking about it. Like you're not going to be like, I have all this stuff. So when the world ends, I can get my bomb shelter and it's going to be great. You know, you're just prepared, but then you're receiving. And I like the usage of the male and the female because symbolically the male is like the energy to go get it. You know, you think of the phallic, and then the female is the cup.
The
It receives
receptivity.
receptivity. So you're receiving what people are giving to you, no matter what it is, but you're receiving it in the way you want to receive it, even though they might be trying to be mean to you. You're just like, oh, look at this little guy trying to
You
ruin
don't
my
take it
day.
personal.
Yeah, he's like, oh, he's
When
trying to ruin my day. He doesn't know I went hiking earlier in the woods. That's funny. Having a great day, fella.
and you will be like a little child. And what did Jesus say? Right? He said that you can't see the kingdom of heaven if you can't go back to being like a little child.
100%. And that's what I said in the woods today. I'm like, I feel like a kid running around jumping on rocks. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
100%. And we have 14 people watching. What's up, everybody? Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you hit thumbs up, as Adam said in the chat. I pinned that one. Thank you, Adam. Good looking out. All right.
Yeah.
I'll let you.
And that being a pattern for the world, the Tao will be strong inside you. And if we think of the Tao meaning the way,
Can I highlight these? Oh, can you see that when I highlight it?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, we should start doing that.
Okay.
Just when we're breaking down a certain part, this way people get lost.
Oh, okay. Good call. Good call. So yeah, if you're a pattern for the world, the way will be strong inside you and there will be nothing you can't do. So people will see the way in you, right?
Yeah. And you'll be able to take on anything
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
All right. Well, Dwight Goddard, those first two pieces, verse 28, he calls us returning to simplicity. He who knows his manhood and understands his womanhood becomes useful like the valleys of earth which bring water. Being like the valleys of earth, eternal vitality, day, which also is translated as virtue sometimes, will not depart from him. He will come again to the nature of a little child. And he who knows his innocence and recognizes his sin becomes the world's model. Being a world's model, infinite day will not fail. He will return to the absolute.
I like that. This one gets a lot more metaphysical, kind of like, well, you can look at it as returning to the absolute when you die, but also in your mind as well. When you become at peace and you get that inner balance, you touch the absolute. Could it be?
Mm, yeah. Let's see. Again, he mentions the little child, he who knows his innocence, being world's model, infinite day, infinite virtue will not fail. Yeah, I mean, what can I say to that?
It's kind of like another way of the Stephen Mitchell version. I could bring it down. Bring it back, y'all. All right. Stan Rosenthal from 1984. Retaining integrity whilst developing creativity, also cultivate receptivity. So, same thing. Creativity, you can think of as the male half of the force, even though a lot of people associate creativity with feminine. But you could see here this use of creativity and receptivity in relation to each other
Mm-hmm.
is kind of opposite. So the creativity is the actual action going forward, and then the receptivity is like maybe taking in new ideas to work with, listening. Retain the mind like that of a child, which flows like running water. Same thing like Jesus said, right? You get the running
Mm.
water, which I love. When considering anything, do not lose its opposite. The apophatic method, right there, right? If you want to know something, you have to know what it's not. It's one good way. When thinking of the finite, do not forget infinity. And as Adam pointed out, is there really any kind of finite? Probably
Mm.
not on a deep spiritual level. But here in the physical, you might be able to point to something you could call finite.
Yeah.
Act with honor, but retain humility by acting according to the way of the Tao. Set others an example. By acting according to the way of the Tao, set others an example. So that's a little Yoda talk right there, because you
Mm-hmm.
could say set an example by acting in accordance to the way of the Tao. Right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Backward. I like that. Same kind of stuff.
Yep. Yep. Aleister Crowley entitles verse 28, The Return to Simplicity. Balance thy male strength with thy female weakness, and thou shalt attract all things. No, don't get offended, people. I don't think he means that in a negative way.
It's a symbolic thing, right?
Yeah. As the ocean absorbeth all rivers. Now, he says that, and Dwight Goddard says, becomes useful like the valleys of earth which bring water. So that's kind of interesting, the two differences in the way they translate that. For thou shalt formulate the excellence of the child eternal, simple and perfect. And this like child, returning to the nature of a little child. This is in every verse, everyone is referring to this little child. It's a good
Like
metaphor, right?
simple and perfect.
Yeah.
To bring it back to this male strength with a female weakness, you could look at this symbolically, right? So you take the male, what's good with the male, and you balance it with what is good with the female. And you could look at strength versus weakness, but in quote unquote weakness, there are things that balance out the strength. There's compassion, there's love, there's receptivity, creativity, listening, stuff like that. And then with the male, it's just go forward, action. And again, we're not talking about like
Fire.
or a woman, right? It's just internal forces. What were you gonna say?
I just said fire because of
Oh
action.
yeah,
Yeah.
fire. And as above, so below. Also, it does work with a relationship with men and women, like you were talking about earlier with Cody trying to comfort you in the wilderness. He's like, "Come on, man, we're just having a good time." It's that balance between men and women that is really important, and it could be the man or the woman who's doing the comforting in the moment, just depending on who's needing it, and you have that balance. So it's the same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And
Amazing.
then
All right. No,
knowing the
yeah.
light, remain in the dark. Ooh, this is kind of interesting because the card I pulled from the I Ching was darkening of the light, number 36.
Oh
Interesting.
yeah.
manifest not thy glory. This is very in line with what we just read in the I Ching book.
Yeah.
But thine obscurity, clothed in this child excellence eternal, thou hast attained the return of the first state. And when he says the first state and child, I just think of, you know, you must be born again, just like Jesus said. And it's a spiritual aspect, right? As this being born again of the spirit of it's not
Simple
a
as saying a different way of looking at the world. You're born again with new eyes.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts?
No, yeah, I think you're exactly right with that. Again, and it's funny because so instead of some of the other verses would bring it back to the Tao, like Stan Rosenthal here says. I'll even highlight it by acting according to the way of the Tao, set others an example. And then instead of using the word Tao, though, he just says attain the return of the first state. So it's like a state that we already know it. It's something that is natural to us. We're just inverted right now with our slave system that we love so much with credit cards, McDonald's. But so it's just like the first state, like a child, same thing. It's these parallels that I love. But I just want to know how
I'm
it's
glad you
interesting.
meant,
I
huh?
was just gonna say he didn't say the word Tao. I thought that was interesting. He just said first.
Yeah. I'm glad you did that because when I saw that and then I looked at Stan Rosenthal and he mentions the Tao, I meant to say something and then I forgot. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. All right, I'll go back up to here. Stephen Mitchell from 1988, the second part of this verse 28. Know the personal, yet keep to the impersonal. Accept the world as it is. If you accept the world, the Tao will be luminous inside you, and you will return to your primal self. All right, so we'll just look at that first part. I like that. It kind of reminds you of what we just were talking about with Crowley, the first state, your primal self. And I also love how here because this is another thing about the world being perfect, right? Accept the world as it is. Accept the world as it is, period. Right? That's all you got to know. And if you want a little more, he says, if you accept the world, the Tao will be luminous inside you and you will return to your primal self. The world is formed from the void like utensils form a block of wood. Shout out to Nick, Woodshop the Wise, right? When he's carving some stuff, it's how the world is formed. And it's funny because if you think about how the world is mental, you're creating it from the void. So the void is just infinite possibility. So you manifest what you want, you with your mind, right? You carve out of this void of all limited possibility of everything in front of you. You carve what you want. And that's how the world is created. And then as above, so below, together, the collective consciousness carves this reality that we live in. They're carving the robots in the White House. Joe Biden, everybody. That's what they're carving, the Miami aliens. Like we're all carving this stuff. So just enjoy it. I mean, enjoy the show, get some popcorn. But yeah, that's how I think. Okay. And then we go. The master knows the utensils, yet keeps to the block. Thus, she can use all things. So the utensils, right? But you're not obsessed with it. You're not like, I got the best DeWalt drill. Oh, you got a Makita drill? What are you, some kind of polywog? I don't know. Just thinking about, like
Did you
they're
see
not
that
worried
in one
about.
of the chats we were in recently?
Yeah,
Or
there
did you
was
just Oh,
a meme
okay.
or something, I
Okay.
think. Yeah, I
I
was
was gonna
like,
say that would have been way synchronistic if you hadn't seen it.
no, I saw the meme. I was like, do you know what kind of family you are or whatever? DeWalt and like Makita. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
know. Trust me, I know all about that rivalry. um, yeah. So I think thus you could use all things. Again, it goes back to this idea of using any situation that comes in front of you, no matter what it is,
As a learning experience.
as a learning experience to grow, right? And if not in the moment, then you can always look back on it as a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
What we oh, I was just reading Adam stuff. Okay, cool. Let's see. I'll bring it back up so you can read the second part of Dwight Goddard.
All right. Second part of verse 28, or, not the second, in this case, the third, but yes, the last piece. He who knows the glory of his nature and recognizes also his limitations becomes useful like the world's valleys. Okay, so he's talking about valleys earlier, right? And then he's talking about it again.
Yeah.
Being like the world's valleys, eternal day will not fail him. He will revert to simplicity. Radiating simplicity, he will make. This is reminding me of the Yoda quote, just because
Oh
it's like this begets this begets
yeah.
that. Radiating simplicity, he will make of men vessels of usefulness. Dude, so wow. The wise man then will employ them as officials and chiefs. A great administration of such will harm no one. Wow. It
I
this
like that. Go ahead, go ahead.
Now I'm just like baffled by mind boggled by. It's just so what we just kept talking about. We just keep saying like use these things as learning experiences. But go ahead.
I was just gonna say I love here how I'll bring it back too so I can highlight it because Dwight Goddard really brings it from radiating simplicity. He will make of men use vessels of usefulness. So it's like the small, like the men, right? You get a bunch of men together, or men and women or whatever. And then the wise men will employ them as officials. So you get like the man all the way up to like the administration. And this is what like great administration is made out of all types of men and women who get this kind of stuff. And they're not
Indeed.
just looking to scam you.
Mm-hmm.
Most officials these days. Am I right, everybody? All right. Stan Rosenthal from 1984, the last part. I like how it's so short. It's so crazy. His part is
Yeah, he really whittled it down, huh?
yeah, by retaining the integrity of the inner and external worlds, true selfhood is maintained and the inner world made fertile. I like this because it's talking about the balance, right, of the inner and outer world, the spiritual and the physical. Maybe you can even look at it as that. You keep this balance and true selfhood is maintained. And then your inner world is made fertile. You could create.
Mm.
Nice. What do you think?
Like Neville Goddard talks about.
Yeah, exactly. Like another well-named Goddard,
Yeah.
old Goldsmith.
All right. Aleister Crowley, the last part of verse 28. Knowing splendor of fame. This is very poetic. Cling to obloquy and infamy. Now, I had to look this up because I didn't know what obloquy was, and I wasn't sure if I was pronouncing it correctly, but it is pronounced obloquy. So the definition is censure, blame, or abusive language aimed at a person or thing, especially by numerous persons or by the general public. And the second definition says discredit, disgrace, or bad repute resulting from public blame, abuse, or denunciation.
This is crazy because what is Aleister Crowley known for? And he
He's
says it
infamous.
right here, knowing fame, knowing, what did he say? Knowing splendor of fame, right? So knowing the splendor of fame, cling to, what was the word again?
Obloquy and infamy.
Obloquy and infamy.
Basically, it's another word for infamy, right?
So instead of having the splendor of fame or all the stuff that comes along with it, you don't want to be like worshipped, is what he's saying. He's like cling to infamy. He says it right there. He probably started all the rumors about himself.
Oh
All right.
my gosh. He's a total, what did we call him before?
A troll,
He's
like
totally trolling.
or a jester. Wow, that's crazy. We cracked the case right here.
Here we go.
Oh, let me share it. Hang on, I'm highlighting it. It's not shared. All right. I like the highlight thing though. I think it's gonna help people follow along. All
Okay.
right.
Knowing splendor of fame, cling to obloquy and infamy. Then shalt thou remain as in the valley to which flow all waters, the lodestone to fascinate all men. Yea, they shall hail in thee this excellence, eternal, simple, and perfect of the child. Wow, I want to look up that word lodestone just so I know what I'm reading.
Yeah, I think it has to do with
All right. It says a variety of magnetite that possesses magnetic polarity and attracts iron. Also, a
oh yeah,
piece
there we
of
go. The
this serving
lodestone
as a magnet. Okay.
and the iron filings. So it's talking about like vibration basically. Um
Wow.
bring
The
it
magnet to fascinate all men.
yes. Just like because basically your example, right? Leading by
Mm,
example.
yes. Yea, they shall hail in thee this excellence, eternal, simple, and perfect of the child. Again, we're back to that. And this whole verse is just reiterating child, you know.
And Aleister Crowley really embodied that in the public eye, like a child. People thought he was acting kind of like childlike. So maybe he was just putting on, again, we're not defending the man, whatever, but he's saying basically right here, here, let me pull it back up because I want to make this point about what I'm seeing here. Yea, they shall hail in this excellent, hail in thee this excellence, eternal, simple, and perfect. So the message is that he's trying to pass down to people, and the distillation he's doing is simple and perfect. If you just look at it, you never mind all the other stuff that's going on in the tabloids and on the headlines, right? Look at what he's
Mhm.
saying with teachings and all that stuff. It's all simple and perfect. The other
Exactly.
stuff's a distraction. It's kind of like when people watch the Oversharing show and they get bored. Well, instead of trying to bore people that weren't interested to get them away, but what if we just went scandalized? So they're like, "Oh, don't talk to those guys. They don't want to watch what they have to say. They're crazy." It's the same kind of thing, maybe. So he's kind of filtering people out. Now, again, we could totally be wrong, and maybe he was cutting off heads and whatever, but I don't know. After reading all this stuff, it's like, if he was
Yeah.
really into stuff, I couldn't see him being like the evil person they say, but you never know, whatever.
Right. So the last piece of this says the raw material wrought into form produces vessels. And that's like you were saying, like somebody who like Nick who makes wooden vessels like cups and
hmm
bowls and things like that. So the sage king formulates his wholeness in diverse offices, and his law is without violence or constraint. That's even a simple ending. He's not like he didn't do it like the last verse where he's like, this is the XYZ, the
Yeah.
occult.
I like how he says without violence or restraint. So it's like you
Mm-hmm.
could just let the men, because you're the example, the men around you will fall into line kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a great time to be alive.
Yeah.
This time's great too, though. It's fun. It's got its drawbacks,
Can
challenges.
you tell me what so the Sage King formulates his wholeness in diverse offices. Can you expand upon that? On your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I believe it going back, I'm gonna scroll up here now to where it says radiating. So we're gonna go back up to the Dwight Goddard version, radiating simplicity, he will make of men vessels of usefulness. And
Mm.
then so it's parallel to right here, the wise men
Oh yes.
then will employ them as officials and chiefs. So then you scroll down here and you see him say,
Uh-huh.
so the sage king formulates his wholeness into diverse offices, just different people. He's getting a posse going. He's like, my posse's getting
Uh-huh.
big and my posse's getting bigger.
Wow.
That's why it's so great that what we've said this before, but you look at four different versions because you really get like an idea of what they're trying to say. It's
Yeah,
like hearing a story from four different points of view, you know?
indeed. That
Or
reminds me of the four gospels,
yeah,
right? They were
amazing.
telling similar stories, but they were different perspectives.
Yeah, and then all except for John, right? And then John's just like the Aleister Crowley version.
Mm, mm. He
Oh,
totally is crazy.
all right, everybody. What is going on? Shout out to the chat. Um, Thank you guys for hanging out and supporting us. Remember, the best ways to support us are to be here when we go live or premiere these episodes. Hit thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave comments. We love your comments. You guys leave the best comments. You can also donate monetarily. Go to morelawsmoreproblems.com. Click on the Over Sharon tab. That website is officially 11 year. Whoa, it's 11 years old today on 111 because I just
Oh, wow.
paid the. Yeah, whoa. That's a synchronicity, huh?
That's crazy.
Yeah, so check that out. Also, you can go to shadowworked.com where my book is. And what else? Terrible, TAROTBULL.com. I've been doing that one. I just did a reading for Ashley for 2024. And the week before that, she did a reading for me, and it's audio podcast. So check it out. It's available on all the great places to get podcasts, iTunes, and all those places, or terrible.com. But yeah, I really love in this series, Sharon. This is like great. I feel like we make new revelations each time we go through this. And that's the cool thing about any of these religious texts that are maintain the test of time, like the Tao or the Bhagavad Gita, because you can
Mhm.
really get something new out of it every time you go back. And especially when you compare four different versions the way we're doing. We're a,
Mhm.
we're a gosh darn national treasure, I tell you what. You should put our faces on Mount Everest.
Oh
They should put our faces on Mount Everest. I meant what's the one in
my
South Dakota?
Rushmore?
Rushmore, yeah. Right next to
Wait,
Abe. I'll
which
be like,
one's
yo, you like this guy? We point at Abe, like, yo, this guy was
which
not.
one's Everest
Everest is the tallest mountain in the world, the highest peak anyway. That
in the
everybody,
world?
yeah, they climb and then they die. It's the one in the Himalayas, the
Okay,
Himalaya.
okay, yeah, thank you. The one in
Yeah.
the him I figured. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's taller mountains, but some like the one in Hawaii is technically the tallest, but half of it's underwater or something. I don't know. But yeah, Everest
Oh,
I think it's the highest peak.
that's weird.
And we just put our faces up there giant, like, yeah. You were like
No
that.
one can see them.
The whole world will be able to see him from up there. Are you kidding me? Yeah. So thank you, Sharon, for being a part of this, and thank you guys in the audience so much. What's that? Oh yeah,
Can,
best
should
part
I
of the
read
show.
that?
Go ahead.
Should I read this last little bit
Yeah.
of
Here.
36? Card
Let's
number
do it.
36, Darkening of the Light, I Ching. All right, so the changing lines reads, line 1 at the bottom is a unbroken line. It says, when lost in a cave, one small candle is better than the light of 1,000 dreams. Attempts to soar above obstacles by ignoring them are futile. When obstacles are real, one should not indulge. Am I reading the right one? Okay,
Can I just stop you for like 1 second? Because that
yeah.
when lost in a cave, one small light is better than the light of 1,000 dreams. That should be in a fortune cookie. That is really amazing because not that dreams are bad, but if you're lost, if you have one thing you can cling to, one positive thing in your life, it's better than trying to wish for all this other stuff to happen, right? And dreaming of all this other stuff, you just take that light and you follow it and follow your intuition or whatever. So yeah,
And
that really
that's also being in the present moment.
that hit me hard. Go ahead anyway.
Wow. Attempts to soar above obstacles by ignoring them are futile. When obstacles are real, one should not indulge flights of fancy about imagined success. To indulge in fantasies will result in a loss of respect, because attempting to solve large problems is a sign of weakness unless there's an objective chance at success.
That's what we
Line
do in
number.
society, right? We try to solve these huge global issues
Yes.
when people don't even want to like look in the mirror.
Dude, that's a total sync with
It is
the
with the
conversation in the other
verses of what
chat
we're
group.
saying. Yeah, that and then what we were saying in the verse, right? With the obstacles and challenges.
Mm. Line number 2 is a broken line. It says, doing your duty during a crisis brings good fortune. The image is that of someone who was injured in a disaster but works effortlessly to save others who were wounded in the same event. In times of calamity, rescue efforts bring lasting benefits to both the saved and the heroic. Such an effort surely brings good fortune. Line number 3 is an unbroken line. It says, victory over dark forces is achieved as if by accident. But don't be too hasty in righting past wrongs. Some wounds can only heal themselves, and it takes time. However, if a sudden opportunity arises to cage a raging beast, close the gate and lock it. Line number 4 is a broken line. It says, there is an impending danger in the night. A person has grown close to a source of negative energy. Once you have perceived a negative influence, it is of no use to pretend it does not exist. Only by accepting the truth of your intuitive perception can you find shelter before ill intent is unleashed like a dark storm. When near a source of dark energy, persevering on the wrong road brings misfortune. Move away from darkness toward the light.
Caroline, move into the light from Poltergeist.
I didn't see that one. Line number 5, also a broken line, says, when confronting a dark force, small deceptions could be helpful, as long as your innermost convictions are not compromised.
Ooh.
I'm going to read that again.
I like that.
When confronting a dark force, small deceptions could be helpful as long as your innermost convictions are not compromised. It's like a white lie, right?
That, or like, think of even if you're in a fight with somebody and you're like, hey, look over here, and then you hit them. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
Either that you could look at it, but yeah, same thing too. Like a little lies if you have to get out of a situation. Like if someone comes up to you and they're going to rob you, and like, what are you doing? They're like, oh, we're just off duty cops. You know, they're like, oh shit, see you later. You know, it's like,
good call.
Which I've done before.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Even though you may be forced to take extraordinary measures, actions you would never consider in normal circumstances, stick to your inner principles. However much you may deceive those with ill intentions, be careful not to deceive yourself.
Good advice.
Yes. And then line 6 at the top is also a broken line. It says, the climax of the dark times has arrived, and the darkness has begun to consume itself. When negative energy is finally spent, people of intelligence and good spirit naturally re-emerge and gain rightful positions of prominence. Dude.
I'm going to be a king. I'm keep telling you.
Wow.
They're going to make statues of us. They're going to put our faces on Mount Everest.
That's funny. I'm going to read that line again. That was good.
Renderings of our faces. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm just going to read that whole thing one more time. The climax of the dark times has arrived, and the darkness has begun to consume itself. When negative energy is finally spent, people of intelligence and good spirit naturally re-emerge and gain rightful positions of prominence. Wow. That reminds me of like the whole like Kali Yuga that we're living in, you know, and when people are negative and say like, oh, everything's so terrible right now, and would you look at the state of the world and look what's happening with XYZ, you know,
there's aliens in Miami.
I just tend to say,
yeah, there's been aliens in Miami, guys. We call them Cubans, all right? Relax with your xenophobia, all right? Jesus. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
it's like the last shall be first and the first shall be last, right? Kind of
exactly. Yeah, it's like that. Kirk is asking what I'm reading from. So at the beginning, I usually pull an I Ching card, from the I Ching deck. And so I'm just reading from the booklet. I'll read usually the intro at the beginning, and then I'll finish it with reading from the lines. So like, this is like the intro right here, and then the lines start here. The I Ching is number 36 looks like this with the different lines. So
It's a
that's
great
what
resource.
I'm
It's
reading
always
from.
so synchronistic too to what we're talking about.
Yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, I was just saying when people talk about like the times we're living in, I just think to myself that um I lost my train of thought again. But it can't last. Yeah. It can't last. Like evil won't what did what's his name say? And he probably is quoting someone else. Michael Sarian said evil contains within itself the seeds of its own destruction,
Yeah,
something
yep.
like that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So it's just to me that's just a reminder that that can't last. Um and good times are coming, good things are coming.
These are just the
Because
challenging times,
yeah.
For sure. Well, shout out to everybody. Thank you, Amber, for hanging out with us. We're glad you caught it live as well. Thank you, Zeralath, for hanging out. We got to hang out soon in person, I promise. I hit 170 steady heart rate. Oh, nice. Stone for 30 minutes on the elliptical to this podcast at Planet Fitness. Yeah, it's surreal. That's right. My friend had a joke. He used to say it on stage. He's like, I am an alien from the Planet Fitness. Pretty funny. And he was
Hmm.
not in shape. It was great. All right. Well, again, thank you everybody for checking this out. Thank you, Sharon. I really love these episodes. It's great to express how I feel about the Tao and to just talk about all these truths. But everybody, like all good things, this must end. So we'll see you later. What do
Had
we
a
say to
great
good
time.
people?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
great time. What do we say to good people, Sharon?
That once you start over Sharon,
Then you totally stop being a Karen.
that's right.
And remember, we're not telling you how to live.
But giving you tips on how to live a little bit more simply.
Yes,
Perhaps
that's right.
could it be it?
Perhaps. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao. All right. We are clear.